What's up guys, Josh here. If you have not seen this video right here, you're gonna need to click on that in order to understand what we're gonna be talking about in this video. Thanks guys. Hey guys, we're now gonna break down our first lighting setup. I want you guys to take a look at the scene and realize that there's so much more than initially meets the eye as far as the lighting that goes into creating the perfect scene. If you need to, just pause the video and take a look at this scene, and using the concepts and rules that you learned in the last video, try to break down the lighting setup before it is revealed to you. As you look at the scene, I want you to specifically think about the rules background, foreground separation, and 3-point lighting. I want you to think, how is this scene broke down as far as background and foreground? As far as 3-point lighting goes, I want you to think, where is and what is the key light or the fill light? Is there a hairline light? I want you to start thinking about the color temperatures of those lights, whether those lights are diffused or more hard. Alright, that's enough time. We're going to start breaking down this scene. Now guys, if you remember foreground background separation, that's assuming that there's only a foreground and a background. But what's really interesting in this scene is there's actually 3 segments of the scene. There's the foreground, there's the middle, and their background, and they're all separated as far as the lighting setup goes. If you look at the foreground, that's the part of the scene that's closer to the camera. You're going to see that the students in it are lit more softly and more dimly. That's caused by the diffused sunlight that's coming through the windows that have the diffusion sheet draped across them in the right of the room. Now we're going to talk about the middle. The middle just consists of the girl in the yellow dress standing up in front of the class. She's being lit directly by the sun, which is being able to shine through the window without the diffusion, because the diffusion ends before it reaches the front of the classroom, as you can see. After doing a little bit of research on the internet, I realized that the HMI light on the right hand side of the classroom is actually lighting the girl up as well on the right side. The light is actually shining through a scrim, which is actually cutting the intensity and softening the light a little bit as well. And what actually can't be seen is the bottom of the girl's body is actually being lit up by a secret Kino Celeb light, which is an LED light that's actually hidden in front of the front row of students. Now we're going to move to the back of the room. The back of the room is actually being lit up by the HMI light that you can see on the right side of the classroom. It's really interesting because the cinematographer created a really nice looking streak right on the chalkboard with that light. He did that by arranging flags in a specific pattern. Flags are of course used to cut light. They're just black flags that are being held up on C-stands and arms. The HMI light is actually being split into 2 directions. As I said before, one half of the beam of the HMI light is actually aiding to light up the girl in the yellow dress, and it's being diffused by a single netted scrim. And the other half of the beam of the Kino flow is actually of course hitting the chalkboard, and it is being diffused slightly by a double netted scrim. The reason for the diffusion was they were trying to get the ratio correct so that the light falling on the chalkboard wasn't too bright compared to the light lighting up the girl. They wanted the girl to be the brightest thing in the scene, and they wanted her to pop out, of course, from the background. Now, as you guys know, the HMI light is actually pretending to be sunlight. And what's interesting is there are actually leaves that are being hung in front of the HMI light, if you can see, and the light is shining through the leaves and actually casting a shadow on the left side of the room. So it looks like the sun is actually shining through a tree. It was a really cool, awesome effect that I thought was really impressive. What's interesting is what cinematographers use when they aren't able to actually get a real branch full of leaves is they use something called a cucoloris, or a cookie for short. These are basically pieces of wood with a bunch of holes cut into them, and it's supposed to mimic the look of leaves. Now guys, as far as talking about 3-point lighting, as far as talking about the key light in the room, that's the brightest light. It's all kind of coming from the right, you know, whether it's the sun or the HMI light. But let's talk about the fill light. Do you guys see any fill light in the room? Well, I think the fill light is actually coming from reflected light. All this sunlight and all this HMI light that's coming from the right is actually reflecting off the walls and bouncing, and that's what's creating the fill light that's filling in the dark shadows that would be created from the key light from the right side. Now, as you guys remember, there was that Kino Celeb coming from the left side as well, from the ground, that's kind of filling in the left side as far as the girl goes as well. Hey guys, so originally I was thinking, oh, that light on the right hand side is probably a halogen light because it kind of looks like a halogen light. But then I remembered, wait, a halogen light is actually at 3200 Kelvin. That's pretty warm. And that sunlight, which is the other main light coming from the right hand side of the classroom, is pretty cool. It's probably at 5600 Kelvin. And if that if the camera was white balanced to, let's say, the sunlight, 5600 Kelvin, then the light being casted on the chalkboard by this light in the corner would look really, really warm. And say, assuming that is a halogen light, that camera was actually white balanced to that 3200 Kelvin halogen light, that would make the light on the chalkboard look neutral, and it would make all the other light in the classroom coming from the sun look really, really blue. But we really don't have that happening at all. We have all the light in the room seemingly being white balanced together as if they were all one color temperature. So you don't see any discrepancies between the lights. You don't see one half of the room being more blue or the other half of the room being more orange. It's all being white balanced together, and then all the light in the room seems to be the same color temperature. So I assumed, okay, well, that light is probably not a halogen light that's going to be an orangey color. It's probably going to be an HMI light, which is going to give you a cooler color temperature that's a lot closer to the sunlight. If it was in fact a halogen light, then there would need to be a blue CTB gel that we'd need to see being clipped in front of that warm halogen light that would take the orange out, and that would bring that light to the 5600 Kelvin color temperature that we need to match with the sunlight. Alright guys, that was a fun little lesson. I hope this is going to empower you to be able to reconstruct, reverse engineer any scene that you see as far as the light setup goes. Thanks guys. Hey guys, Josh here. Just to humor my curiosity, please state the city that you're watching from below.